a Coleman, as well as the Outlet Institution Baptist Church family, we want to welcome each and every one of you to the third day of Impact 2016. Just to take a sort of show of hands, do you believe that Impact 2016 has had a great impact? I believe that it has. So we're grateful today to be here. We're thrilled today on the program that we're about to We are fortunate to have the Santa Maria Bryant, a long-standing member of Olivet Institutional Baptist Church. As a member of Olivet, she has served as a faithful member of numerous ministries, including the Combined Choir, better known as the Voices of Olivet, and the O.M. Hoover Education Ministry, the Rights of Passage in particular. Ms. Bryant is a pillar working with children and youth, having worked as a teacher's aide in Warrensville Heights with Pastor Ryan Williams in Richardson. At Olivet, she was also the supervisor of the youth choir and has worked with Rights of Passage Ministry for over 15 years, having served as one of its queen mothers. Perhaps the highlight of her service to ministry was serving as a chaperone with Olivet's annual college tour, something we talked about earlier. During such time, Ms. Bryant would tell the youth of her involvement in the civil rights movement as they visited historically black colleges and universities, as well as museums that chronicled our rich history as a nation. Little did she know that her involvement in the civil rights movement would help build and shape the environment that our youth would be able to live in today. To see it as a reality is beyond her dreams, she says. But with God, she knows all is possible. The list of her achievements and involvement is ongoing. Yet she never fails to give all glory and praise to God. She has sung with the Greater Cleveland Choral Chapter, then the Burke's Choir, the Cleveland Faith Choir, as well as the Prestonians under the direction of the Reverend Earl Preston. As a participant in the Children's Youth March, standing in the Civil Rights Movement in Santa Maria, Queen Mother never forgets all the work that was laid before her, the work that has to be done now, and the work that is yet to be completed for the future. Queen Mother Santa Maria Bryant.
If I talk slow or kind of stop for a minute, I wanted to be here for you and my pastor, but the Lord brought me. Okay? My name, what you know, is Santa Maria Bryant. I will not talk long, but I want to tell you my story. I was raised in Birmingham, Alabama. I attended the elementary school, and I also attended A.H. Parker High School. And A.H. Parker was a black man that wanted his children, and he called us all his children, to be someone. He always said to us that I want you to have finished college and be someone. And at the time, when we call them demonstrations, at the time when we would go to the meetings were preparation for the marches that we were going to do. Because you did not go into a march, just walk into it. No. That's not the way we were prepared. And the people that prepared us at the time, James Bevel, Dr. Y.T. Walker was there. It throws me off because I take a medicine that But I want you to know that we were prepared as children. We knew that when we go into a march, and the same thing I look at TV and look at here, certain things you were not to do. You were not to open your mouth. You were not to hit back. I know you know. You were not to intimidate anybody. You were there to do your job. So, as a marcher, my dad, he loved me dearly. He didn't want me to be hurt. I loved him dearly too, but I didn't do what he said. I didn't do what he said. I got my little suitcase, little tiny one. Put my toothbrush, everything in it, because I knew that I was going to march. And I went out the door, the back door, so that my father wouldn't see me. Because he didn't want me to march. He loved me to march. But when we got there, we had to go to 16th Street Baptist Church. That's where we met. Everybody. And we marched from there. We went to what we call it, like City Hall. And I mean, at the time when we was marching, there were children from everywhere. Children from all over Birmingham, children from places that we didn't, but see, I was 17, and the oldest ones were supposed to keep up with the, younger ones. We were supposed to hold hands, there were a young child here, there was an older one here, young child here, like all the way across. That's the way they tried to do it. And they could not, it was so many children that they could not even keep up with them. But they knew where we were. They were just trying to keep us safe. But I want you to know one thing, that it was a march, and I know you see it on TV. It was a little fragment. It was not much, and I know you know that too, because I want to know why they never completely show a movie about the Birmingham Children March, because you can never forget it, never. But I want to tell you my story. I stayed in jail, went to jail, 4 days. And the reason I was, because my dad said, well, you got yourself in there, you get yourself out. My poor brother came and told me what Daddy said. So, but what I want you to know while I was in there, everybody was coming home, everybody coming home. And I said, when we got ready to go in, how they fingerprint you. I said, ooh, because I never did it before, young. And I said, oh. So he asked me my age. And I said, I was 17. He said, 17, policeman. Nasty. He said, 17 years old? I said, yeah. He said, okay, well, you grown. I said, no. Yes, you are. And they were talking too, against each other too. He said, well, I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna mess this. Okay. Well, you know, y'all know what I want to say. We're gonna mess this. Oh, y'all know that? Yeah. We're gonna mess this up. Cause you know, I really don't know saying the word. So I said, well, what do you mean? I mean, you know, what do you mean? You know, what are you gonna do? Oh, you'll see. As you get older, you'll see. So I said, I looked at him and I said, okay, you know, what was I supposed to say? Nothing. I couldn't say, you know, nothing. But okay. But what he did to me was he tried to mess me up. When I got ready to apply for the job at Pastor Ronnie Williams' church as a teacher for his young people, the school agers as we call them. And he said, the young lady that was his administrator, she said, I'm sorry, Sam. We know you, everybody know you from Warrensville, and you've been in Warrensville they didn't do it. They didn't say anything. I worked a long time. So I said, well, what you mean? You know, I can't. She said, I'm sorry. You got a record. So what you mean I got a record? I'm old. You know, what kind of record I got? She said, I'm sorry, Sam. You can't work here. And I said, okay, what can I say? But you know what he did? Mess me up, tried to, but there is a God. Anybody know? Yeah. There is a God. They called me up 3 days later, and they said, Santa, Miss Bryant, yes, would you come in because you got the job? And I said, well, you said I didn't have it. Well, it's been approved. That's okay. You come in. But I want to let you know that the Birmingham March, Children March, I will never forget it. One reason I will never forget it is how policemen, how they can be so, well, no, I'm not talking about Cleveland, I'm not, but how they can mess you up with a record, whether you're young or old, and that's what he was telling me. I'm going to mess you up. And I want to let you know that out of the Children March, and I've been in other things too, I've learned one thing, that you can do anything. Because the young people, they want to march. And when it was over and finally someone came to get me, I said, who was it? Who was it? I thought it was Dr. Martin King. You know, had paid the money, whatever, higher, get us out of jail. And I learned, this is what I'm telling you, you're never too old to learn anything. I learned from married this pastor. He said, Santa Maria, Sister Santa, it was the one that sang, Deo, Day. Say it, come on. Thank you. Let us make me forget. Thank you. It was Harry Belafonte that got us out of jail. And in the last part, I want you to know, and I'll say this to you, I have no more relatives in Alabama. My emeritus pastor said to me, Miss Bryant, Santa, have you been home recently? Now I used to go with the college student all the time because Pastor Moss sent us to Morehouse College. And the children stayed on Morehouse campus. But that's going through. He said, I want you to go to the airport because I was there for Freya Shepherd. I want you to go. And when you go, they have a big meal. They have a big meal of the Birmingham Children March. And at the end, I want to tell you this one thing. Paper. There were a total 2,500 total. But there are 10 children arrested per minute. So, one person that helped us was Freya Shepherd, that I remember too. But I want you to know, let the children, when they come to you, parents, if they ask, when I say children, let the children march. Because they are the soldiers. Let them march. But I know you love, and you're going to be, oh my goodness. And you don't want them to get hurt. That's the most important thing. But let the children march. Thank you so much.
Opening our eyes and ears to their incredible experiences. And we certainly have to celebrate them as courageous witnesses that are living history in our midst. What I'd like to do now is to move the conversation a little bit further and just pose maybe one or two questions, and if you can talk amongst yourself. If we have time, maybe one or two questions, brief questions at the end. We hopefully can have that. And one of the things I've noticed that everyone talked about, a lot of connections, names, experiences, and events, with the evident dangers and risks involved, whether you're a young person or not. What did it take to sustain you during those times? And in that sense, what can we teach our movement today about how not just to have a moment, but to have a movement? So if you could touch upon that as a first thought, I certainly appreciate it however you'd like.
By us believing in God, we as children, the little children, of course, they didn't quite understand, but we also was taught the discipline when we knew that we were going to march, we were taught discipline, and I wish you could have seen it. It was just like that. And the children did what was supposed to be done.
And even during the movement, there was a hesitation initially to involve young people because of the very serious dangers that were there. You're in Birmingham. What was it like to be a young person in the movement through your eyes, and why should we teach the movement in all of its parts to young people? And in that sense, what can you share in part to the current generation, particularly the Black Lives Matter, about serving on the front lines of the freedom struggle?
Number one is teach them. Teach them what you know. Don't just sit back and not want to teach them and tell them. Because children want to get involved. They do. They want to get involved now. Because I've talked to a lot of them. And just help them to know what's going on. Help them to know what's going on. And the last thing I have is that children want to know and they want to march. Now, teach them how to be safe. Jesse Jackson, God, I'm sorry, Reverend Jesse Jackson, I got to call his name. I wasn't around Martin Luther King that much. And we only, you're young, we only saw him when we would go to the churches. And he wasn't, the involvement of what he did in Birmingham. But at that time, he wasn't around us that much. But speaking in churches in Birmingham. And we were running, listen. But the most important thing, like I said, teach the children. Dr. Martin Luther King and all of the ones that I named were excellent teachers. And that's why we march. When you march, you gotta have excellent teachers surrounding, and that's what we did. And I think that's what they should do now.
Thank you. And Dr. Morris, you have mentioned as part of your early community some extraordinary figures that you grew up with yourself, as well as yourself and those who sit with you. What was it like, and what's the importance of community in building and nurturing and sustaining a movement? You mentioned Max Robinson, Randy, Arthur Ashe, yourself, Sam Proctor, and others, and Mr. Bozeman and Queen Mother Bryant mentioned others. What is the importance of community in helping to help come of age young people so that they can find their place?
I've been here for all 3 days. And so when I look at, how we build stuff in the community, what I'm going to say is kind of be uncomfortable, but it's the truth. I have not seen, we have a mistrust of churches in our community. The church, from what I understand from our history, used to be a place where we used to come together. I have not seen one pastor from any other congregation, church in this community come to this event. Outside of Councilman Jeff Johnson, I have not seen any other councilman that we vote for in the city of Cleveland. Outside of Senator Nina Turner and Simon Williams yesterday, I haven't seen any black leaders at this event. I brought my kids here last night to see Dr. Cornell West, and they might not even really understand truly who he But again, to your point, I haven't seen very many kids at this event for 3 days. So I don't understand how we can say we want to have community and we just don't seem to support each other, you know, on a level like this. This should have been busted off at the seams. When I was a kid and I grew up in church, you know, churches used to bring their congregation to come to an event when somebody important was speaking. It would be 2 or 3 or 4 different busloads of churches would come to make the event full and to educate people. We're not doing that. And so, you know, I love this event. It should be more like these, but we got to get some of these community leaders, especially pastors, since this is why there's a lot of mistrust between the community and the church. And so we need to have pastors support the pastor. You got to start at the top. We got to see the leadership for other people to follow suit. And so I just want to know, how do we get people to be more involved? How do we get pastors to connect? How do we get celebrities to come to events? And y'all spoke about a lot of celebrities. A lot of people that did stuff like that. So I just want to know y'all thoughts on that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I think that Dr. King said one time that the 11 o'clock hour is the most segregated hour on Sunday morning. It is still the most segregated hour among black churches because there's a selfishness that I found that a lot of black ministers don't want to cooperate with others because there's a professional theological jealousy that permeates the kind of ministers in and around certain communities. You got it, and you're in the paper, you're on TV. I don't want to be bothered. But when we look at the whole, community, everybody needs to cooperate so that we can combat racism in its nasty tentacles throughout this country. And if we don't cooperate, then we're going to die separately. And in this time, and in this era, this is what is needed right now. More cooperation, more communication, more love, more forgiveness among black churches that they can do it. And as they say, I can do all things through Christ. This is what black churches need along with their ministers. They don't want to give up that 11 o'clock hour because of that theological and professional jealousy that permeates our community.
And I want to say that you are very much right. Very much so. But the pastors got to get that jealousy out the way.
Amen.
And they have to want to get together. And I hope and pray that they do. I'm going to leave it like that.
What I think would work is that if there were a formal group of the ministers where they can get together and they can agree to disagree, but talk among themselves, no matter what denomination, be it Methodist, Episcopal, Baptist, AME, they should need to get together, and needless to say, there should be disagreement. You can agree to disagree and have discourse among the ministers. I don't think that's happening. I think that would be a meaningful start to this togetherness that we need.
You know, as one of the co-chairs of this with Dr. Copeland and to the Queen's Mother, Mr. Bozeman, to the doctor, just thank you all so much. But to your point, you know, Pastor had a vision to put this together and reached out, to me to help him do this. And we are, you see the map of the United States of America. We have to brainstorm. What do we want this Impact 2016 to look like? We brainstormed. It was through that brainstorming to say, we want this to be something big that transcends just the state of Ohio. So to your point, because we put this together so quickly, and Deandra's in the room, she knows, what we're going to do in 2018 is we're going to do this again in 2018. We're going to do this every 2 years, and it's going to grow. And Dr. Copeland had a vision. He didn't let our small window of time stop us. He wanted our community to have some place to go, to learn, inspire, inform, involve, while that Republican convention was here, but through having a vision about this, now we're going to do it even bigger. So I'm not so sure in terms of how much outreach in the small window of time that we had to make this happen, did we reach out to other churches to say, Pastor, Doctor, can you bring this many people, this many people, this many people? But we will certainly have that on our list. We are going to do an exit interview with each other about what does 2018 look like, and we're going to start working on 2018 August 1st, because that's what you do when you plan something like this. Then we will have 2 years to set up for the next impact. But everything, I just want to say to our leaders, because I just have to go, I am a historian, I am a college professor as well, and I mean, you guys have my hair standing on edge, I want to cry, I laugh, but just, being a part of the people who Zora Neale Hurston says, whose skin has been kissed by the sun. Man, we are just a powerful people, and we come from powerful roots. And the unsung heroes, the unnamed heroes of this movement. Without this event, I would have never gotten a chance to meet our heroes and our shero right here. But we got to reach out, and it's not just the ministers. Now that you know about Impact 2019, it's your job to go out and tell somebody, and to be willing to help Dr. Coleman and I and others prepare for 2018. We will do this again, and we're going to take up some of those ideas that you have. And I want to thank the amazing team, the amazing logistics team that was led by Sister but I just didn't want to leave here with people thinking that certain ministers didn't. I don't think the invitation was given in that way. But we are going to make sure. Now, in 2018, when you come back and have that same, you're going to know that they were reached out to in a very deep and appropriate way. And to the children, to the schools, because you're absolutely right, they need this. And I'm glad that Pastor has had every one of these sessions recorded. People can purchase the DVDs and keep learning this lesson over and over again. Doc, I don't know about you, but I'm going to do some of this in my classroom at the college. But love you all, just peace, power, and purpose. And we're going to continue to do this thing. God bless you.
And also State Senator Turner, and thank each and every one of you. I know there's a few more questions, but you can come and talk to the panelists. I know starting soon we'll be showing another film, I think, on Eyes on the Prize, and then we'll conclude with lunch. You're welcome to come and talk here. Don't let the conversation stop. Continue and take the challenge that State Senator Turner and Pastor Coleman have, and our wonderful panel have laid before us. Thank you.